Hey everybody out there in YouTube land, this is Jake Jabberelli, jabberelli.com. Just a bunch of referral links, and I want to thank everyone who watched my video that I put out the other day. I was really surprised at the response that I got. I got a lot of questions, and I hope I answered as many as were put up on the website that were legitimate. Most of them seem to be legitimate. Now, every now and then I get spam, but a lot of people seem to be interested in Raven because of its blowing up recently. Now it did go all the way up to 30 as I recall. Let's have a poke here at the I was actually kind of surprised at how far down the market it came. There we go. It's at 55 right now, at least on CoinGecko's list here as you saw me just scrolling through, but it went as low as 42, which is rather impressive. So yeah, when I made my video it wasn't even as high as this, and yet this is what it's fallen back to. Oh darn. But here, let's look at the chart the last 2 days. So it did this meteoric ramp up to almost 30. This shows 27 here. That's 27 cents, US cents. But it did, at least on one exchange, I think hit like 29. It's low 29s, like 29.1 or something. That was momentary. It didn't go up there and stay up there. But I don't think this is a pump and dump. I think this is just a excited about the possibilities kind of ramp, because it didn't really drop a whole lot. I mean, it went up and then down. You know, these people selling off to get their money back really quick. It was actually a huge trade in there. It had to have been multi-million-dollar trade. Then it ramped up again here, and it didn't really stick. So it's been slowly falling down again, but you can see it's kind of flattening out. And this, I mean, I'm not terribly good at technical analysis, but this technical analysis seems to point that it's going to go back up again. And I'm not trying to get your hopes up, I'm just saying I've seen this thing. If you've done technical analysis, you probably figure out what this ramping looks like. In any case, just want to make a quick point here that the market cap is now almost 2 billion. It was higher than that. It was almost 4 billion at one point. And its trade is still really high, which is enthusiastic. That's encouraging. I appreciate that. I still kind of wish that I'd spent a couple thousand, you know, let's say 5,000 more when it was down here around 0.05. But it's great to see it up. So let's get to the point of this, and that is this. I put this out to one of the questions. One of the people who asked a question here about building a box. This is just my information about box building. I apologize again to those who were watching this on a phone if this is too small for you. Let me see if I can increase the size. That's a little better. Alright, so personally, I've used both the BioStar motherboard, main board here, and I've used the Asus 250. They're both mining boards, and depending upon whether or not you get it used or new, it can be pretty expensive new, so I would highly advise buying it used. But this is, at least right now, because of everyone else getting into mining so quickly, the price has gone up a lot. I have gotten the board as cheap as 50 bucks. If you can find for 50 bucks with a Celeron processor still attached, hopefully it still works. But in any case, some people are selling because their cost of power is too high. So a Celeron, usually a new processor can be like 40 bucks. Like I said, this is US cost. I don't really know what it would be in Europe or India. Memory, you can get used. I would go with new if you could at all possible. I've gotten it slightly cheaper than this before, but this is typical price, at least right now. Power supply, I do tend to go with this one, 850. You only need one of them if you're doing a 6-card rig. But I would say don't go higher than 850, because 1,000, 1,200, 1,600, unless you get a really cheap, unknown brand, and then you don't know how long it's going to last. It could just be a couple months. I've already had that problem. I don't advise getting a non-name brand power supply, because that's everything. Once that goes out, you're sitting dead in the water. So you may as well get something that's good. So I go with Thermaltake. You can probably get these used for 100. I get mine new because I wanted to know for certain that it is good. And these things haven't let me down. I've got several of them, and they work really, really well. Now, Corsair makes one too, and it tends to be a little cheaper. Whatever floats your boat. Whatever you find to be useful, go with that. So like I said, these prices could vary. You still need a frame. You can build your own. You can get them pretty cheaply. When it comes to aluminum, it's probably not going to be a problem. Miscellaneous parts like risers, power cables. I use USB disk. I don't use a SSD. USB disks are usually effective enough, and they're cheap enough to replace easily. Getting back up and running is snap. I mean, I can be, if a USB disk fails, I can be up and running in 10 minutes. Whereas completely reformatting and installing an operating system on SSD tends to take half an hour plus. So I stick with USB disks. So, and it also keeps the cost down. So the one thing is these cards. These prices have definitely changed, and let me give an example. Here's a 470 4 gig that some person is selling, a whole lot of them. This is actually less up because you have to consider shipping and taxes depending upon where you live. That's the 470. So let's say you change this to 170 each. That brings the price down a little bit. I've noticed that the 580s, this is the 4 gigs, these are the 8 gigs. The 580s, I think it could be a 480. I'm just using 580 because most people tend to go towards 580s. All this stuff is used, by the way. You can obviously buy it new. It will be very expensive. 400 seems to be pretty close. Obviously, you can probably find it for 300. Honestly, I'm not particularly fond of XFX. They seem to have problems for me. If you don't have problems, great, use that. I prefer Sapphire. They work really well for me, and I've found them to be fairly consistent. But the reason I'm just going through this to show you the prices is because, I mean, this is for parts, so don't go for that. Unless it's real, I don't know. I've just generally found the prices to be somewhere around 450 for 580 8 gig cards. If it is possible to get them cheaper, great. Do that if you can. So I was speccing this out to say that. I'm going to put this back to 200 for buffer. Maybe it's less. Fine. So what's the total cost here? Well, this stuff plus either this or that equals these values here. And you could round to 1600 for the 4 gig card, and round to roughly 3000 for an 8 gig card box. But the key here, I hope, is obvious by the stuff here's out on the right hand side. This information is based off of what it says on what to mine, and it changes a bit, but I usually take, let's say, 7 or 14 day average. This has been generally true. This number is no longer accurate because the price of ETH has gone up so much. It's probably lower than this. I haven't calculated it recently, but let's just say these numbers are still accurate. You can see here that your ROA is going to be about 4.5 months for this box, for the ETH box, and about 4 months for the Raven box. Yeah, if you change these numbers, by the way, the shared spreadsheet that I have here is not writable, and please don't ask me because I'm not going to give you permission. I've had a lot of people ask me for permission to my sheets in the past, and I don't tend to do that. If you want a copy of this, just do this, and then copy it. Just do that. Take this for yourself, put it in Excel. It's easy, it's just text. You know, put it in Excel, use Google Docs if you like, make your own copy. Please, I don't mind. It's just a simple spreadsheet. I put it out here for the benefit of my viewers. So please take a copy. You can even do this, I believe. Download, Excel, whatever. These obviously are inoperable, but the Excel version is operable. So I would recommend that you use this format, but whatever you want to do. I mean, the whole point is here cost, right? This is cost, and I think the best thing to do is with let's see what to mine says on power costs. 6 for that. Turn that off, and they're assuming down here, if you can see, Let's see if I can zoom in on this. Their cost, they assume a default of 10 cents per kilowatt hour. You've been running that 24/7, so multiply by 24 and you'll get your number. But, well, you know, times however many days. Anyways, let's assume 10 cents. And ETH versus Kapow, which is Raven. Calculate. And yeah, okay, so they're almost $13 a day with Raven on 6 470 cards, 4 gig 470 cards. And with power at that price, you're still making money. Now, you do have to consider the fact that it's not going to be $13 a day. It's going to be closer to, you know, 12 or 11 rather. It's not a huge difference considering how much you're actually making. So it's actually well worth it to consider the possibility that you can just assume the cost of the unit to be all the cost you have, because you're going to be making a lot of money here. If it were, if the revenue was 12 but your profit was 2, then you're going to have to take a huge chunk out of it. So I was using these, you know, numbers, actually using it for 1 card, not for 6 cards, but I multiplied by 6 and got that number. So I mean, here we go. 2, so it's a little less. Mine was 225, right? 179. That's with power. Now, the reason I don't do it on my sheet, it's just easier. If you go to What to Mine, do these numbers for yourself, put in your local power cost, then you'll figure out what you make. Hopefully yours isn't much higher than this, because if it is, you really aren't going to be making much. Let's see, 15 cents, yeah, that's about half. Not quite half, it's a little bit more than half. But yeah, anyways, the point I'm trying to make is you can use this tool, whattomine.com, and figure out what cards you're using, and then you can use my spreadsheet to figure out what's your ROI. So I hope this answers the question that people have had regarding this idea, because it's not super complicated to do this. I will say that if you don't have, you know, computer building experience, I could probably help there, but it's not really what I do anymore. I do have an IT business tied to my actual, you know, farming business, but we don't really do that anymore. We don't do system building. I do it because I know how to do it, but I guess I can answer some questions if you have any. Yeah, this is kind of just to give you a cost idea and how long it will take to get your money back. So, do I think Ravencoin's going to go up? Yes, I do. Do I think it's going to go back to 30? Yes, I actually do think it's going to go back to 30, and yes, I think it's going to go beyond that, as I have answered some of the questions that people have asked me on the last video. The speculation, I think, was what I was trying to about Bits Be Trippin', that other YouTube channel that I referenced. Their speculative thought was that the price of Raven was going to go to about 46 cents. So yes, I am invested. Yeah, we're currently at 20, right? The current price, let's refresh this. Didn't change much, still there about 20, almost 21. I think it's going to double. So if you're not, and like, please don't misunderstand me. It's not financial advice, as they all other YouTube videos have to declare. I'm not a financial advisor. I don't have a license to do that in the United States, so I cannot help you trade. Please don't ask me for advice explicitly. I'll tell you my opinion, but that should not be misconstrued as financial advice. I can tell you this is what I'm doing. This is what I think is going to happen, but I'm not telling you to do this. It's your choice. So I think that this number will become 45, 46, possibly 50 in the very near future. And so I am going to invest and continue to mine Ravencoin because I think the value is going to go up. Now, I know I'd said this before and some people had asked the question too, and let me just put it to you. If Ravencoin goes to $1, $5, $10, $500, whatever, it will make tokenization more expensive. And that's one of my concerns about Raven. Raven is based off of Bitcoin, very, very closely based off of Bitcoin, actually. And even though it doesn't use SHA-256, it uses Kapow, it's still a variation of Bitcoin. So it's going to have the same, or not exactly the same, but similar problems that Bitcoin has. So eventually when the price of Ravencoin becomes very high, because the total circulation, as you can see down here, hopefully you can see this, let's zoom in. The total possible supply when all coins are done mining, is going to be about 1,000 more than Bitcoin. Bitcoin's total supply is only 21 million, whereas Raven's supply is 21 billion. And that was deliberate when they made it. They wanted to make it a little bit larger than Bitcoin. You know, there are only 8 billion coins available now, and of course the price is, you know, less than a dollar a pop, right? And it's 1.5 billion. Actually, sorry, the market cap over here, 1.7 billion. That's the reason the price is still sub $1. Once this becomes equal to this, then it will be $1. You can probably figure that out. In any case, what I'm trying to get at is Ravencoin lends itself, because it's low cost now, to the possibility of being available to those who want to make tokens out of it. But once the price goes really high, it's going to be more expensive. So I would say, my opinion is, get into it now. And so I was trying to make a point with this is, if mining isn't your thing, as in you don't really know how to build a computer, don't mine it, just buy it. Now, to answer that question, where do you buy it? There are 3 exchanges I've used, well, 3 places to hold coin, I should say, and this is trying to answer the question that people are asking about, where do I put my coin once I mine it? Well, Atomic Wallet accepts Ravencoin. I believe Exodus Wallet does too, although I don't use it anymore. Bittrex is an exchange house where actually a lot of Ravencoin has been bought and sold, but let's just go to the markets here real quick and I'll show you. Yeah, Bittrex is down here to number 11. But obviously Binance on USDT, there it is, the highest trading one, most popular. OKX, Bitrue, HitBC. I've used HitBC before. I've of course used Binance before they stopped US from trading there. There's a Binance US, but yeah. So I've traded here quite a bit with Bittrex. I find them to be a pretty good company for that. They do tend to have a little bit higher requirement, like you need to have a minimum of $30 to trade with in order to make any trades at all. So don't expect to be able to trade with $1 worth of Raven. And that tends to be true, I think, with Binance as well. But it's if you're not into mining and you don't know how to build a mining equipment, or you want to spend $1,600 just to build a miner, you know, just buy some Raven now. Yes, Coinbase does not support Raven at this time. But like I said, you can actually buy, I believe, through Atomic Wallet coin. You can trade money in and out. Changely is another place. I would definitely use Changely. I mean, for one, it would probably be best to use Changely to get like USDT, Tether, and then you can trade Tether for Raven in most places like Binance. So if you're looking to buy Raven directly, it might just be easier to buy USDT and then trade for Raven. That's pretty easy to do on most of these exchange houses. So what I'm saying with that is that if you buy USDT and then buy yourself some Raven at the current price, and then just wait, you know, hodl until it goes to 50, then or 40 or 50, then you have 2.5 times, or 1.5 times the value that you've purchased at. And I mean, that's not a huge blow up. It's not like, if you bought in at 0.05 or 0.02 Raven and it went up to where it is now, then you would have quadrupled or quintupled your money. But I mean, there's other coins out there. It's just that Raven looks like it's going to be a more popular coin, and that was one of the last things I want to make a point of. Was you can kind of see here's ETH gas price, right? Currently, it's cheap to trade Raven. In the future, it may not be when the price goes much higher. It costs a relatively small percentage of Ravencoin to trade Ravencoin. For token transactions, it's 0.1 Ravencoin every single time, but it's a relatively small fee compared to the amount of coin that you're moving. So if you're going to be doing, fractional Ravencoin at some point in the future, it's still going to be fractional percent the cost to move. Ravencoin's just turning into the cheaper version of ETH, right? So, in any case, thanks for watching my videos. If you have questions, please put them in the comment section down below. I will try to get to them when I can. Thanks for watching, and as Blockchain John says, stack sats and hodl. See you guys in the next one.